That should be just about enough cobblestone for the trophy, I think, right? Yep, there it is. Alright then. Hello, gentlemen and ladies. Welcome back to another video on the channel. I have a bit of a confession to make, and your viewership might change, your perspective of me might change as a person. However, I will explain it, and I hope you can make the right judgment call. I hope you can decipher whether I am guilty or not of doing this, but fact is, I may or may not have cheated. Oh, you would have been really useful 3 days ago. You really would have been useful, but after this video, I'm not really going to need you anymore, so go find yourself a different owner. But yeah, as I was saying, I may have kind of cheated. Kind of. Let me explain. So, at the time I'm recording this specific video, it is currently 3 in the morning. Before this one, I was actually recording a different video before this one, and in that video I was supposed to go to the stronghold, go to the end, defeat the ender dragon, get elytra wings and whatnot. All the things that we actually need to get done. However, here's the plot twist. I got my ender eyes, I got my tools, I got everything that I needed. I set on out to go and find the stronghold. I go there, the ender eyes start pointing downwards, which means you have to dig down, which means you have to tunnel down. So I start tunneling. I tunnel to bedrock, I don't find anything. I get back to the surface again, I tunnel again. All the way down to bedrock, still nothing. I tunnel again, and that takes like around about 40 minutes, something like that, so I tunnel multiple times, and I don't find anything. So eventually I think to myself, what if the stronghold didn't generate? I copied the world, got into creative mode in the copy of the world, exactly where I was supposed to be in that stronghold, or the location of the stronghold. I type in the /locate command, it gives me precise coordinates as to where the stronghold should be. I dig to those coordinates, I dig all the way down to bedrock. In creative, I don't find anything. So I think maybe the coordinate is just showing how close, maybe it's just the coordinates of a very close location to the stronghold. So I place down a ton of TNT, blow up the TNT, make a crater in the world. Nothing is there. I don't see a stronghold. And turns out the stronghold hadn't generated. However, that wasn't my fault. I didn't know because I threw the ender eyes. I had like 14 ender eyes. And I ran through all of them trying to find that stronghold. Because I would dig a tunnel underground, I would throw the ender eye, and it would just go and be lost amongst the blocks. And if I were to say, dig out the precise location of each ender eye, it would take me ages. So I lost those ender eyes, and the ones I currently have in my hotbar are my second set. And I didn't cheat in this world, I didn't touch creative mode in this specific world. And I did have to go to the nether, get more blaze rods, get more eyes of ender, get more ender pearls, and craft more ender eyes. So it was basically doubled the work, almost. However, for compensation because of Minecraft's inadequacy, because it wasn't my fault that a stronghold didn't generate, I tried to track down another one, in the creative world, of course. And I did, and currently I'm headed that way, and this one actually exists, so, I don't have to go looking for another one ever again. And of course, it needed 12 ender eyes, so I came prepared. I have exactly 12. I don't need to throw anything. I know exactly where it is, and that's where I'm headed. But the thing is, I was kind of thinking about this because it took me exactly 3 hours. I started recording at 12, and it was 3 in the morning before I decided, you know what? This doesn't seem like a hopeful task, I guess. I wasn't hopeful about it whatsoever. I started losing hope about that specific stronghold. So I decided, you know what, let's go track another one. However, the one I'm currently going towards actually exists, but I wanted to ask you people, my dear audience, do you think I cheated? Do you think that I could have maybe looked for a second stronghold in survival or something like that? Because no matter how far you got from that specific stronghold, the eyes of Ender were still pointing towards that specific stronghold. So, I didn't really have a choice. I couldn't really do anything about it. I had to kind of track down a different one and go to that specific stronghold, to that different stronghold, manually, basically. You know, without the guidance of Ender Eyes, because the Ender Eyes were guiding me towards that previous stronghold, the one that doesn't exist. How many villages are around? I mean, I found far too many villages compared to other structures that I've found. I found 3 shipwrecks, maybe. I found, I don't know, 2, 3 pillager outposts, I think. And I've found like 10 villages, which is crazy. But anyhow, so this is, if I'm not mistaken, these are the coordinates. So we're going to start digging down here. Well, hallelujah! Finally! Gentlemen and ladies, I present to you, if these silverfish allow me to actually show you, I present to you the stronghold mixed with the trial chamber, which is just beyond funny at this point. I don't even know what to say. And the portal blocks are there, you know, there's no problem. This stronghold works, the portals work. I tested it in the creative world, in the copy world, so there is no problem. But I just want you to see this, because this is actually kind of interesting. I mean, I suppose this kind of stuff happens with random terrain generation. It's the core of Minecraft, of course. Anyone who's been playing Minecraft for a while would know sometimes structures collide with each other. But this one was just beyond funny. It was exactly where the portal was, which just baffled me. Now, I walked into the trial chamber to find some water to refill my bucket, because I forgot to fill up my bucket on the way here. However, I do understand that that bucket of water is actually quite useful, but in turn, I ended up activating some of the spawners. Got myself caught in a bit of a situation here. But anyhow, we're done. Gentlemen and ladies, after 4 hours, well, 4 hours for me because you didn't see any of that footage, and I wouldn't make you go through that torture because I care about my audience, but after 4 hours of excruciating searching, we are finally here. We are finally ready to go into the end. I'm actually quite excited about this. I was trying to put it off for a while, but today I'm quite excited about it because getting those wings would unlock some possibilities. Now then, gentlemen and ladies, without further ado, let's open up the portal and let's go through, because I'm genuinely excited about this. And whoa, that looks kind of mesmerizing. You could stare at that for hours, I kid you not, but I'm not here to stare at portals all day. Not this time. I'm here because I have a task, and I'm dedicated to that task. My oh my. Wait, the sky was purple for a second. And that didn't exist the last time I was in the end, which was many years ago. I like it. Yeah, it's... there they are. Oh! Oh, what is that? I think that's an end solar flare, if that's the term, because I'm not gonna lie, I like that. I genuinely like it, and this is, I think, one of the best introductions to a boss fight in any video game, really. I mean, in this style of video game, that was one of the best introductions ever. Now, if the Ender Dragon leaves us alone for a while, I think I can take out each crystal one by one with no problems whatsoever. I don't really think I'm going to collide with the Ender Dragon that much, but it's best to be cautious. There's the second one. Now, just to make my life a little bit easier, I'm gonna try and shoot the ones that I can, so that I don't have to pile up. Okay, that was some that was a flex. That was a flex, because I have Feather Falling 3, and I'm sure I would have tanked that hit. It wouldn't have been a problem. But to say, okay, I have Feather Falling 3, however, I'm going to do an MLG water bucket. You know, that's a flex. And that's a pretty good flex. And I hope I have some blocks in my... Oh, never mind. It's a flex twice in a row, and no problems whatsoever. I still would have tanked that hit, but I don't know, it's just a reflex to grab the water bucket as soon as I'm falling downwards. That was amazing, man. That was pretty good. Now, there is one downside to looking cool while you go down instead of digging blocks one by one, and that's the fact that The blocks that I used to pile up either side of the tower stay there. If I were to go and grab them, it would take time. Oh, come on now, man. Oh. Okay, here we go. No problem at all. That was perfect. That was the perfect MLG water bucket trick shot. That was just flawless. Flawless. I mean, when did I become this good in Minecraft? I don't know. But I'm this good. I think that's the last one, if I'm not mistaken. Oh. I think... okay. I think the dragon is afraid of me. He feels the aura, and he wants to stop me, but he doesn't know that I have a second plan for my second plan. If the water bucket fails, I have Feather falling to save me. Oh my goodness, it's loud. Gentlemen and ladies, I hand you the dragon's head on a platter. You know, this feels like I actually accomplished something, because I was out here, I put in the hours, I put in the work, I went through bugs, I went through a lot of challenges, a lot of weird, strange challenges, but after all this time, I completed the challenge. I beat Minecraft, gentlemen and ladies. I beat Minecraft. Now, while I get the egg, let me explain something to you, gentlemen and ladies. Although I finished Minecraft's main objective, which was to kill the Ender Dragon, unlike what most people expect, it's not over. It doesn't end. Not with killing the boss, it doesn't. There are so many other things to do in this game. There are so many other obtainables, there are so many other challenges you can set for yourself, so many other things you can do because it's a sandbox. This game doesn't end. It doesn't have an end. This end dimension is just a concept. It definitely isn't supposed to mark the end of the game. Absolutely not. Don't take it the wrong way, because most people beat the Ender Dragon and they leave, but not us. Because we know what the game actually offers. Alright, let's hop in. Oh, that's a trophy too? Oh, what is this? Course fruit? I'm not sure. But anyhow, so I'm getting a lot of trophies, and I'm definitely not complaining about it, because these trophies, well, I should eventually get them because I'm chasing the platinum, and so I'm not complaining. But the next agenda is to get elytra wings. However, instead of one pair, I'm going to get at least two. If I can get a third, that would be amazing, but I think two should cut it, because, you know, I'll have one of them as my main use, and then another one as an emergency, as a backup. So suppose the main one just breaks and I need to get somewhere fast, then I'll have the emergency one at hand. Something else I also need is shulker boxes, because I think they would be a very nice addition to the world, especially because after this I'm going to do a lot of traveling, and having a shulker box would definitely be helpful, because, I mean, having bundles around is definitely helpful. Now imagine that, but with the space of a shulker box. You know, that would be something else entirely. Okay, you know what? Although a parkour course exists, I'm definitely not that advanced to do these parkour courses, so I'm not even going to try. I'll just let you guys shoot me. Just send me upwards. Let me float. And so I proceeded to spend north of 40 minutes getting shot by shulkers, opening chests, looting everything they have, and then finding the elytra wings. Although the dragon head doesn't really serve a purpose, I still find it cool to have, so I couldn't just pass up on it. Now for my first flight. You know what this feels like? Release. Release from all the chains that tied me to the ground. Now I'm a free wandering spirit, and I think although these wings are just pixels on a screen, they represent something deeper. So does everything else in life, right? But these wings, they represent the fruits of my labor. The hard work I put in to get here, to get a simple item. And that simple item is worth a lot more, because it's not only an item, it's a symbol. And there's my second pair. Minecraft has taught me a lot of things, but one of the most important lessons is that even the worst player can make it to the top. I should know this, because I was that worst player. Now, does that mean I'm the best player now? Absolutely not. Far from it, actually. However, it does serve me well to look back at the times that I had to cheat to kill the Ender Dragon because I wasn't good at the game. And then looking at now, knowing that I did it 100% in survival mode with no cheating whatsoever, I didn't get any help from any other person, it was all me, doing it all by myself, getting all the materials myself in survival mode. It does make me proud. I'm not the best player by any means, but I'm proud of how far I have come, even if it doesn't seem like much in other players' eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the final stretch. The credit screen. When the credits rolled in Minecraft when I was younger, I would always get emotional because I somehow always thought that the game was specifically talking to me. However, later on I realized obviously that they slap everybody's gamertag there, everybody's shown the same texts, and everybody goes through that same emotion as I. However, once I found out it didn't really matter to me because it was still special to me. A few years ago, I was not really doing well in life. You know, I felt like everything I did wasn't enough and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into detail, but hopping on Minecraft, I would occasionally go to the end, kill the Ender Dragon, in creative, of course, because I was bad at the game. I would hop through the portal just to sit down and read through the credits, because that's how much they actually mattered to me. Now, some people would hear the story and say, oh, you're crazy. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to stare at pixels? But they don't understand that even though this game is made of pixels, even though to some it just seems meaningless, it truly, truly built someone from the ground up. And I am that someone.